It was when I was in grade 6 that the idea of becoming a writer first came to me. We lived in Germany at that time. My dad was in the Air Force and we were transferred over there. And my homeroom teacher one day came up to me and he was holding an assignment that I'd written in his hand, and he leaned down and he said to me, "Valerie, this is really good. You could be a writer someday." Well, I can't even tell you what those words meant to me. It was the first time in my life anyone had ever told me that I was good at something. And that really gave birth to the idea that someday when I'm older, I'm going to write books. It begins with a germ, either the beginning of a character or story, and then it grows from there. And I'll sort of gather thoughts and put things together as they come to me, and when it's ready, like usually when the character is relatively developed, then I'm ready to begin writing. I don't really write with a common theme, but I would have to say that the theme of death has surfaced in a number of my stories. I've had a personal experience. I had a little girl died when she was 18 months old. So that experience of loss was one that just comes naturally into my work sometimes, and I think loss is a universal experience and that people can relate, and so I like to write about it, but I also like to make sure that there's hope in the experience. On this momentous day on the island of Tajay, the village elders happened to be awake. This was not always so. Callers often found the three curled up like well-fed cats, sound asleep in the enormous chairs they occupied. No one minded if the elders slept on the job. That did not interfere with their work, which involved a single duty. They were to be wise. The elders were called upon to use their wisdom in answering questions, settling disputes, and offering guidance. The island's elders were appointed solely on the basis of their advanced age. And since age was the single qualifier, the elders were typically a mixed group. They often consisted of 2 women and 1 man, or 2 men and 1 woman. Occasionally they were all one or the other. Whatever the case was, the villagers had great confidence in their system. The theory was that those who had lived the longest would also have gained the most wisdom and knowledge. This theory was seriously flawed. A foolish young person does not grow up to be a wise old person simply on the basis of having reached an advanced age. Even at 99, they will almost certainly be nothing more than old and foolish. Throughout the centuries, sometimes all of the elders were wise, others all were foolish. The trio of elders that Pascal was being taken to happened to be made up of 3 men, of which 1 was wise and 2 were foolish. It was not a fortunate combination. I remember when my first book was published, it was called Out of the Ashes, a Shelby Bell Garden mystery. And I remember getting my first copy of the book and holding it and looking at it and thinking, I created this person, and this person has become real in this story. It wasn't my name on the cover that excited me, it was my character's name. If I was giving advice to an emerging writer, it would be read a lot and write a lot. Obvious as that sounds, it's key because you have to practice. You have to practice what you're recognizing as good writing by reading, and you certainly need to be writing and polishing and writing and polishing and editing and editing and editing. If I'm not invested in any way in the story by the end of, say, chapter 2 or 3, I'm probably not going to read any further. I love the fact that New Brunswick supports creative people in this way, and to have my work singled out, for this kind of honor, it's just almost kind of overwhelming and very joyous. Is it a meaningful profession? It's not a lucrative profession, but yes, I would say it's very meaningful. You gain things from everybody that you read. You learn and you grow and you see different vehicles in the writing process.